Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. Over the last few days, we've been looking at some of the greatest scientists and science pioneers in history and shown how they also had a strong Christian faith. Some people would make out that there's a conflict between science and religion, or that science has disproved faith, or that faith should somehow be suspicious or afraid of science. And of course, that is not the case. Today, I want us to look at a guy called Francis Bacon. And Francis Bacon is basically, we owe a lot to him on almost every scientific discovery that we've ever enjoyed, because he developed something that is known as the scientific method. Before he came along, and he lived back at the time of Queen Elizabeth I, but before Francis Bacon came along, people, they made scientific discoveries, but they didn't have a rigorous method that they could follow in order to consistently make discoveries. Well, the scientific method goes like this. You make an observation, you see something that's happening in God's creation, and then you ask a question about why is that happening. And then you form what they call a hypothesis, which is a suggested answer to the question. So, for example, Edward Jenner asked, why do milkmaids not catch smallpox? His suggested answer was perhaps because they contracted a lesser disease called cowpox, and that made them immune. Then once you've got that hypothesis, this suggested answer to the phenomenon, you make a prediction. And then you do an experiment to see if the prediction comes to pass. So again, Edward Jenner, he said, let's give somebody, infect them with cowpox, and then we'll follow up by infecting them with smallpox and see what happens. And he said, I will predict that they will not get sick. And then when you do your experiment, you analyze the results. And if it proves your prediction, then great. You can now report the results to other people. If it turns out that your prediction was wrong, then it's back to the drawing board and you have to come up with a better hypothesis or a better suggestion. And this is very simply what we know as the scientific method. And basically all the scientific advances that we enjoy, the camera that I'm using to film this, the microphone that's picking up my voice, the screen that you're watching this on, or the device you're listening to an audio broadcast on, the fact that my wife is alive because she wasn't killed by appendicitis, but was able to have her appendix removed in an operation. The car that I drive, the filters on the fish tanks that enable provide an environment that my tropical fish can live in my fish tanks at home. All of the scientific advances that led to all of these things were based on Francis Bacon's scientific method. Now, he was a devout Christian, and he had three main aims in life. He said they were to uncover truth, to serve his country, and to serve his church. And he did serve his country. He actually was a judge. He was the Attorney General of England at one time. He ended up resigning in disgrace because at that time, judges often received gifts from people in cases they were trying. And today we wouldn't allow that at all because it would be corrupt. Back then, everybody did it. And, Francis Bacon went along with what everybody else did, and he ended up in disgrace and really lost his jobs and his positions and everything else. Really, something I think that should teach all of us that even as devout Christians, we can't go along, well, everybody else does it, so it's okay for me. We actually should be something better and something different. So anyway, having lost all these important positions, he devoted himself to the study of God's creation through this scientific method. And, he actually ended up dying conducting one of his experiments. He was about 65 years old, and he began to get the idea about how you could freeze foods in order to stop them going off and why that was happening. And he began stuffing chickens full of snow to see if it would preserve the meat in them, which of course today we have freezers and fridges, we know it does. But he was just really at the beginning of that process. But he caught pneumonia and died. But one thing that Francis Bacon said was this: Knowledge is the rich storehouse for the glory of the Creator and the relief of man's estate. He said, a little philosophy, a little learning, a little knowledge, inclineth man's mind to atheism, but depth in philosophy bringeth men's minds about to religion. In other words, he said, don't be afraid, because some people pick up a little bit of knowledge and then think they're clever and deny God. He says, but the deeper you go into studying the things of this world and the creation that God has made, the more wonder and love and devotion you will end up with for the Creator. So today, whatever machines, whatever scientific advances impact your life today, and there will be thousands of them just in one day, maybe pause to thank God for a man like Francis Bacon, who out of his deep faith in the Creator helped us understand the creation better and really gave birth to virtually all modern science. May God bless you today, and join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.